Imagine a number, 300 degrees Celsius. That's not the temperature of an oven. It's the heat that struck Pompeii in an instant. It's the final searing moment that flash vaporized human flesh and turned bone to dust. And for nearly 2,000 years, we thought we knew exactly when this impossible event happened. August 24th, 79 AD. But what if one single, tiny scribble of charcoal found on a wall forced us to rewrite history? For decades, the story of Pompeii was static, a cold snapshot in time. We knew what happened, but the human choices, the frantic split-second decisions made by a family in their final hour, those have always remained an archaeological mystery. We could see the grim end, but not the desperate journey that led them there. Today, we will use cutting-edge technology, the same AI used to piece together shattered frescoes, to rewind the clock. We will step into the chaotic, terrifying final minutes of a real Roman family's life, reconstructing not just their deaths, but their last living moments. What you're about to see is a synthesis of hard data, forensic science, and AI, transforming a forgotten tragedy into a vivid human story. Our story doesn't begin with fire, but with life. Picture a crisp, late autumn morning in the year 79 AD. Forget the summer heat you think you know. New evidence, including a charcoal inscription dated to October 17th, shows the eruption happened weeks later than we once believed. Grapes were being pressed, and fresh pomegranates were for sale in the market. This city of roughly 20,000 people hums with a vibrant rhythm. The air is filled with the scent of salty sea air, baking bread, and the murmur of Latin spoken in the streets. This is the life of Terentius, a baker and a freedman who owns a successful shop on the bustling Via dell'Abbondanza. He's known for his excellent panis quadratus, a round loaf marked with 8 sections for easy breaking. He and his wife, Livia, have 2 children, 10-year-old Marcus, who dreams of being a Roman soldier, and his younger sister, Julia, who loves to play in their home's central courtyard, the atrium. Their life is built on routine, a world of sun-drenched courtyards, bustling markets, and the reassuring presence of a silent green mountain watching over it all. But this wasn't a perfect city. We see the truth in the archaeology. The bustling taverns, called thermopolia, offered fast food to the poor. The streets were filled with graffiti, love notes and political insults scrawled on walls. Enslaved people, who made up nearly 40% of the population, often worked in brutal conditions, like the prison bakery where chained donkeys and humans toiled together. This was a city of stark contrasts, a microcosm of the Roman world, oblivious to the seismic tremors that had been shaking the ground for weeks. It's just after 1 p.m. on what seems like an ordinary day. Terentius is pulling a fresh batch of bread from his oven, the heat a familiar comfort. A few streets over, Livia is setting out lunch. Suddenly, the ground beneath them shudders with a deep, guttural rumble. The tremors are stronger than usual. A cup falls from a shelf, shattering on the mosaic floor. Marcus looks to his mother, his youthful bravery replaced by fear. This isn't a normal tremor, this is different. Across the city, thousands feel it. A tense silence falls. Then, a sound unlike any other, a thunderous crack, as if the sky itself is being ripped apart. Every head in Pompeii turns toward the mountain. From the peak of Vesuvius, a colossal column of smoke, ash, and pumice is rocketing 20 miles into the atmosphere. Its top unfurls like a pine tree, a sight so strange that a young observer, Pliny the Younger, would later describe it in a letter that gives us our first-hand account. The awe turns to terror. The enormous cloud begins to collapse in on itself, and what went up must come down. It starts as a fine, grey dust, like a light snow. But it is not snow. It is ash, carrying the mountain's fiery breath. Then come the stones. At first, they are small, light pumice rocks called lapilli. They clatter on tile roofs like a hailstorm. The downpour gets heavier. The stones grow to the size of lemons, turning the once blue sky into a suffocating shroud of grey. Terentius, his baker's apron long forgotten, runs through the streets, dodging the stones. Wonder has curdled into raw fear. He finally bursts through his front door to find Livia and the children huddled together. The pumice is now piling up several inches an hour, and the roar of the volcano is deafening. This is the critical moment, the choice that sealed the fate of thousands. Do they stay or do they run? Here's what historians got wrong. It wasn't a single, uniform death. Our AI, analyzing the location of the casts, shows the population split in two. Roughly half, believing their stone homes would offer sanctuary, chose to stay. The other half, like Terentius's family, made a desperate dash for the city gates. For most, both choices would prove fatal. 30 minutes into the eruption, Pompeii is a city under siege. Daylight is completely gone, replaced by a choking, sulphurous twilight. The pumice accumulating on the flat roofs is now a foot deep, and the weight is immense. We hear a thunderous crack from a nearby street. A roof has collapsed. The homes that promised sanctuary have become tombs. Staying is no longer an option. The family has to run. But where? Their preparations are frantic. Terentius rips off a pillow and ties it to Marcus's head with a strip of cloth, a desperate final act that archaeologists have confirmed was a common practice. Livia grabs a small pouch of coins, a deeply human instinct for a future she can't imagine. With cloth wrapped over Julia's face, they open the door and step into a nightmare. The street is buried under a foot of pumice, and visibility is almost zero. They are now just desperate silhouettes, stumbling through a dying city. The family's last minutes are a brutal descent. They are fighting their way toward the Nuceria Gate, the furthest from Vesuvius. It's here that our AI links their fictional journey to a real, poignant discovery: the Garden of the Fugitives. In this very spot, archaeologists found the casts of 13 people, adults and children, who fell together, so close to the city gate, so close to freedom. Wait until you see what happens next. They weren't killed by the stones. The real killer was invisible. The pumice fall, the Plinian phase of the eruption, lasted for nearly 18 hours. As our family stumbles on, Livia begins to cough, a deep, rattling cough. The air itself has become a slow-acting poison. Fine ash particles are infiltrating their lungs, mixing with fluid to create a wet cement, suffocating them from the inside out. Just as the family struggles on, the pumice fall begins to subside. They might have felt a moment of hope, a desperate relief. But that hope was an illusion. The eruption was now entering its second and most lethal phase. From the mountain, a silent, invisible wave of superheated gas and ash began to rush down the mountain slopes at over 100 miles per hour. This final detail will change everything. For the people who were still alive, this was not suffocation. It was instantaneous, fulminant shock. As the first pyroclastic surge hit Pompeii, the air temperature skyrocketed to over 300 degrees Celsius. It's a heat so intense, it caused the victims' bodies to contract violently, their brain tissue to boil, and their bodily fluids to vaporize, killing them in a fraction of a second. The family is yards from the city gate, but their path is blocked by a collapsed roof. There is no way through. Exhausted, choking, and with no escape left, Terentius pulls Livia and the children into a final embrace. They huddle against a wall, shielding each other. The pumice and ash continue to fall, ceaselessly, burying the street, burying the city, and burying their small, huddled forms. For them, The pyroclastic surge was the final, brutal end, a silent wave of heat that preserved their final tragic pose. Pompeii was gone, buried under 20 feet of volcanic material. For nearly 1,700 years, its location was lost to the world. When excavations began, it was in the 1860s that an archaeologist named Giuseppe Fiorelli made a stunning discovery. He realized that the victims' bodies had decomposed inside the hardened ash, leaving perfect cavities. By carefully pouring plaster into these voids, he created the hauntingly detailed casts that we know today. But these casts only told us how people died. They couldn't tell us why they were there. The AI reconstruction you've just seen isn't fiction. It's a synthesis of decades of data. AI is now being used to digitally reassemble shattered frescoes and even read the charred scrolls of Herculaneum. By feeding an AI everything we know, from the location of the body casts to the geological data of the eruption, we can start to reconstruct the human choices that led to their final moments. It's a new kind of archaeology that allows us to find the why behind the tragic what. The story of Pompeii is one of profound loss, but also of incredible preservation. The same volcano that took everything also created a time capsule. If you want to learn more, you can visit the archaeological park in person, where you can see the Garden of the Fugitives and other amazing discoveries. For those who want to read more, I highly recommend Robert Harris's novel Pompeii for a dramatic, fictionalized account, or Mary Beard's The Fires of Vesuvius, Pompeii Lost and Found, for a detailed, non-fiction look at daily life. The story of Pompeii reminds us that behind every historical event are real people facing impossible odds. By using technology, we're building a bridge of empathy across 2,000 years, allowing us to witness a city's final hour not just as a ruin, but as a living, breathing story. What other historical events would you like to see brought to life this way? Let us know in the comments. And if you want to see more stories pulled from the past and reimagined with technology, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching.